My husband and I got divorced, but one night we had cuddles, and now I'm pregnant with our fourth child. Should we get married again? My ex-husband and I were married for 10 years. Although the last 2 were spent in variations of separation, we've been divorced for roughly a year. We have 3 kids, 10, 8, 5. I'm pregnant with our fourth baby. I don't know if we'll actually be parents to 4 kids or not. I'm so conflicted. We are so conflicted. There was no abuse or cheating in our marriage, although he did sleep with somebody else during our separation. There are a variety of other reasons why we ultimately got divorced. After the initial feelings of failure and heartache, and there was an immense amount of heartache on my end despite being the one who filed for divorce, we were able to get along pretty well. It became platonic so quickly, and it's like when we removed the romantic and married relationship from the equation, things got so much better. We split time with our kids 50-50ths. That's really hard for me because being mom is such a huge part of my identity that I still sometimes struggle to know what to do with myself during his time with the kids. Ultimately, I'm happy that he's a loving, involved father, and I'm glad that they do spend half their time with him, even if I still sometimes cry over not being with them all the time. We still do things together as a family sometimes. We sit together at our kids' activities, things like that. He has a girlfriend now. She seems nice. He met her not long after our divorce was finalized. It hurt. I cried way too much over it. He waited over 6 months to introduce her to our kids, which I was thankful for. My kids like her. Our youngest child was unexpectedly admitted to the hospital not long ago. He had surgery. In the grand scheme of things, it was a pretty minor surgery and he's absolutely fine now. But this is my baby and he had to spend multiple nights in the hospital, so this was a big deal for me. My ex-husband was there the entire time, being a great dad, being a supportive partner to me as I worried over every little thing. We spent all those nights in the hospital together, and I remembered why I married him. He was always able to be the strong, level-headed rock for me. He was this safe person who I knew would take care of everything and protect me. When we were in the hospital, he told me that I'm the most important woman in his life. Still, when our son was discharged, my ex-husband came back to my house. My baby was home safe. Our other 2 children were excited to be home after staying with my husband's sister for several nights. We were all together at home like a family again. That night after our kids were in bed, we had cuddles. I hadn't been hoping for it or planning it. It was just like as soon as the kids were tucked away in their rooms, we were having this intensely passionate, needy, amazing cuddles that we shouldn't have been having. We went to sleep in my bed, and at some point in the middle of the night, we had cuddles again. The next morning, we both decided our emotions with the whole situation with our son just got the better of us. We said we didn't regret sleeping together, but that's all it was, and we were just going to go back to our normal divorce lives. We wouldn't make it awkward, just move on. Then I found out I was pregnant. We didn't use a rubber. I don't even have rubbers in my house anymore. I'm not on birth control. I haven't been since we divorced. I haven't needed it since I haven't had the time or interest to start dating again. I really wanted to be single for a while. I know I was ovulating when we slept together, which was probably a contributing subconscious factor as to why it happened. My body sees him being a good dad to our kids, and it wants another. My cycle is like clockwork, and we've always conceived on the first try every time we've tried to get pregnant. Our first kid was not even a try. It was a 2 weeks before your wedding you find out you're pregnant and spend your honeymoon with morning sickness surprise. So now I'm about 8 weeks pregnant. I've known for about a week. I just told him this past weekend. I didn't know if I would tell him at all. I realize now that I only told him in hopes that he'd tell me what to do and figure the situation out for me. Only he didn't. I know it makes no sense to have a baby with somebody I chose to divorce. I don't need a 4th child. Why can't I let go of this though? Update 1. I posted about a week ago. My ex-husband and I have been divorced for about a year. We have 3 kids, ranging from 5 to 10 years old. We have gotten along great since the divorce, better than when we were married. It's almost like we're friends, can do things with our kids, and enjoy being around each other. About 2 months ago, our youngest unexpectedly ended up having surgery and spending several nights in the hospital. He's fine now. My ex-husband and I stayed together with our son the entire time he was in the hospital. When he was discharged, my ex-husband came back to my house, or former family home, at our son's request. He was just supposed to spend a few hours there, help our son get settled, then go home. However, I guess all of the emotions and being together as a family in our former shared home got the better of us, and we ended up having cuddles twice that night. Now, I'm 9 weeks pregnant. I wasn't on birth control, was on it until after our divorce was finalized, but have been intentionally remaining single for a while and not involved with men in any way, so was giving my body a break from birth control. Initially, we were undecided about what to do, but as of last weekend, we made the decision together to have the baby. It feels sort of crazy to me. definitely not a situation I ever imagined I'd find myself in. I already picture this baby looking just like our other kids. I guess that's why I struggled with the idea of not continuing with the pregnancy, which I know isn't really a valid reason to have a baby. This is probably the last baby I'll ever have. I'm 39, so even if I were to meet a man who I trusted enough to want to have a child with and a future with, I'll be well into my 40s by then. I plan to be very picky, but I'm not even at the point of wanting to find somebody new yet. We're not getting back together, for now. We get along great when we're not married and living in the same house. We feel it'd be irresponsible to all of our children to attempt to get back together right now because of this. Chances are higher that we'll be able to co-parent this baby successfully if we live separately. However, we are committed to working together to do what has to be done to take care of the baby when he or she gets here. Our kids are doing so great right now, and they seem very happy and secure with the current setup of our lives and homes, so we want to stick with this for now. I don't know if I really understand what I'm getting myself into. Our other kids were all born into a marriage and a two-parent home. I know that sharing custody of a baby will be a lot different than the kids going back and forth between homes. I might be feeling too positive about it, but I think it could work out fine. The new baby will just see this as normal, right? Next thing to worry about will be having to explain this to everyone when we tell them. My family and friends will get over it, but I'm especially concerned with explaining it to our kids. I'm worried our oldest won't take the news well. She also knows what Cuddles is and how babies are made. And for everyone concerned about his girlfriend, she's not his girlfriend anymore. Top-rated comment. These two are 100% getting back together within a year and then breaking up again in another. Update 2. Several people have asked me for an update on my situation. My ex-husband and I are having a baby. My other posts are on my profile. A recap is that we were married for 10 years, divorced for almost 1.5 years now, and have 3 kids together. We slept together twice during a stressful family time, and I ended up pregnant. We've since admitted we are both still in love with each other, but have not actually declared that we're back together, mainly for the same of our kids. I last posted toward the end of January. I'm 28 weeks pregnant. We're having a little girl. As far as the pregnancy goes, it's been like a textbook pregnancy, and so I feel pretty good, just more tired than I ever remember being during pregnancy before. My husband and I continue to live separately and share custody of our kids. We each have them 50% of the time. They're all aware that we're having a baby, and none of them seem to be deeply confused or emotionally damaged by their divorced parents having a baby together. We explained it in an age-appropriate way. Our oldest child was more grossed out that her parents had Cuddles than anything else, since she now understands what Cuddles is and how babies are made. We've been involving her quite a bit, and she's excited now. I even took her to one of my appointments. She's excited to have a baby sister, and she understands that mom and dad love her and her siblings, that we love this new baby, and that we love each other as people and as parenting partners without actually being together as a married couple in one house. Meanwhile, my husband and I have started to attend couples counseling. We tried marriage counseling when we were separated before we divorced, but I think we were both already pretty mentally done, so counseling didn't do much for us then. I think we're getting way more out of it now because we're actually invested in it and putting in a lot of effort. Sometimes I feel great after a session, and at other times I feel not so great and am reminded of reasons why we divorced. Overall, I think it's a good thing for us no matter what happens with our relationship. We've been sleeping together for the last few months. We already agreed that we won't be seeing other people at this time. I wouldn't be saying while pregnant anyway, and it's not as if I'll even have time with 3 kids and a newborn. We agreed that we will not open ourselves to being with other people while we are working on our relationship and before that conversation is had between us. We are carrying on just as we have been since our divorce, as far as our kids are concerned. Dad doesn't spend the night at our house. We do things together as a family sometimes, but we were doing that even before anything was rekindled between. We're not acting as a couple when we're together as a family. We're friendly with each other, but there is no holding hands, kissing, etc. Our main concern is our kids. We refuse to say we're back together. If we officially get back together, we really want to feel certain that it'd be for the long term, that we're ready to commit to that. We don't want to give our kids whiplash or do anything to make them seek insecure about our family. We would like to get to that point, but we aren't there yet. I think if my husband had his way, we'd be there. He's ready to say he's there now. He'd love to move back home, but he understands and agrees with my reasoning. I'd love for him to move back home too, based only on emotions. We both have things to work on, separately and together. I want to be a better spouse this time around. I thought I was being a really great wife, and I was on the surface. I also know that right now I feel so in love and am hopped on hormones and pregnancy happiness. I always feel super happy, super positive, and super corny during pregnancy, And I know I have to be careful with trusting anything I feel during this time because it's like I'm on a 24/7 natural high. I think the biggest issue right now is that he's far more, let's throw caution to the wind, even though he agrees with all of my reasoning. And I want to be way more careful. Update 3. I've made a few posts about my husband and I getting pregnant after we divorced. We were married for 10 years and had 3 kids before getting divorced. We got along so much better after we divorced, and we have been really good co-parents during this time. But we were functioning strictly as friendly co-parents. We slept together around 1 year after our divorce was finalized and conceived a 4th baby, which we ultimately decided to keep. Our 4th child, a sweet baby girl, was born at the end of May. She's so perfect, and we both feel we made the right choice to bring her into the world. It was the smoothest, easiest birth I've had, and I take that as a sign. I feel like I fell in love with him all over again during labor and delivery, and that's when I knew I was ready to make our relationship official and public to everyone, including our children. Contrary to all the assumptions, our kids really don't seem to be negatively affected or confused about the baby, and I don't think the newest baby is getting any less love or attention than our 3 kids born within our marriage had/have. This is normal to them now. They understand we're still a family, and no matter what, we'll always be a family whether mom and dad live together. We are still living separately and technically still maintaining the custody schedule we had in place for our oldest 3 kids. Although, the kids are with me every weekday right now since it's summer break and I'm on maternity leave. We have a different arrangement for the baby, but he does take her overnight a few nights a week. I got our family home in the divorce and he spends time here with all of us. He has spent some nights here at home to help with the baby, but he doesn't stay in my bedroom quite yet. He has not moved in, although he has tried and continues to suggest it. This is probably the biggest point of contention these days. To me, this feels like the best of both worlds. I love him and truly don't want to be with anyone else. I think I sort of function better and am happier also living in my own space that he just visits. I know it's not the norm, and some might say this means I don't really love him as much as I think. I really believe I'm just one of those people who needs more independence and alone time. And maybe we never would have got divorced in the first place if this had been the arrangement from the beginning. Is it sort of selfish? Maybe. I don't know anyone else with this arrangement, but I know some people out there do this. For all intents and purposes, we are together in a relationship again. We've made it official and exclusive, as juvenile as that sounds. We had already made it official between ourselves, but we hadn't really announced it to family and friends or our kids. We are still in love with each other, or back in love with each other, and we are not seeing anyone else. Our kids have adjusted well. They've been seeing a therapist since we filed for divorce, so that has really helped us navigate some of this. Prior to the baby's birth, we did not tell them that we were essentially in a relationship. Only so long you can keep that a secret from your kids. Even though they're young, they're perceptive. So we've recently explained to them that mommy and daddy love each other, but we get along better living in separate homes. And for now, we think this is the best thing for our family. The only problem is that now they keep asking about when we will all live together again. I'm sure it's a little confusing to them, but I'm not sure how we could be handling it any better. We attempted marriage counseling when we separated, before divorce. It was not successful. I don't think either of us was 100% committed to it at the time. He really did not take it seriously back then, but I was more stubborn and resistant than I originally realized. We're in couples therapy now, and it's like night and day compared to last time. I'm scared to live together again, so we aren't going to do that anytime soon. It's not that I don't trust him. I don't trust us as a couple. I refuse to put my kids through all of that again. So, getting remarried and moving in together isn't something in the plans right now. Maybe one day. I hope we can get to that point. I just don't want my kids to have to go through a divorce and splitting households yet again. I feel like they'd lose all trust in us then. OP on their living situation. I think it might be best for us to find a way to each have our own place next to each other or on the same property, instead of one actual house that we share. Other than not living together, we are together. It's no different than any other couple that's dating but doesn't live together. Well, it's a little different since we share kids and we were once married and I still usually refer to him as my husband, but not too different. We aren't keeping our relationship a secret anymore, so we aren't pretending to not be together. Everyone knows now. We spend a lot of time together. But yeah, he may eventually want more than I do, as in a relationship where we live together 24/7. At this point, the hubby's ex-GF was firmly in the rearview mirror, and OOP was still brushing it off as if it is no biggie, but I found one exchange that people may find interesting. OP, downvoted. Yes, he had a girlfriend at the time. It's in my post history and I'm not trying to hide it, but we have moved well beyond that now. Response. People are downvoting her comment because it is pretty black and white when it comes to cheating. Cheating hurts others, and a lot of people value living in a world and having actions that don't result in hurting others. He was in a relationship and committed to his girlfriend when he decided that he had the right to sleep with his ex and not immediately tell her that he did it. She deserved better than to get trauma from someone who claimed to be committed to her, but was willing to step out on her. Cheating on someone does result in emotional trauma, which will affect how they will view love and relationships going forward. Personally, if he wasn't ready to be in a relationship with her, then he should have left her alone. I am tired of men in particular getting into relationships with women when they know they are not clearly over their ex-partner. It is a sign of selfishness and pure disregard of another human being's health. She was used as an emotional support and cuddle object by him, because no one that respects their partner would do something this cruel. So I'm not going to cheer on someone who could have just avoided this entire situation by not being in a relationship when he was clearly not ready to be in one and hurt someone deeply. Edit. I want to add additional thought as well. Cheating is not only an emotional hurt, but a sign that you give zero care about your partner's health. He was presumably still having cuddles with his ex-girlfriend after sleeping with no condoms with his ex-wife. With the rate of sexually transmitted diseases and infections increasing and the likelihood of the disease being antibiotic resistant, he told his ex that he had zero care for health and emotional well-being. She had the basic right to know that he slept with another person while still being intimate with her, especially with no form of protection. Not calling the ex-wife dirty, but with the risk of catching a disease that's incurable or opens you up to higher risk of illness. Every person who is engaging in actual relationships deserves honesty. OP. All of this may be true. I'm not arguing anything you said, but I'd like to know what everyone on Reddit thinks we're supposed to do about it. We can't go back in time and undo what we did. Maybe Redditors feel that as an act of penance we should not be together, despite very much wanting to, since that's what we deserve for hurting her in the process. We should never be allowed to move on and have any happiness in our lives, together or separate, because we did something at one time that hurt somebody. Short of publicly flogging ourselves and maybe not allowing ourselves to ever be in a relationship with anyone ever again as a form of self-punishment, what are we supposed to do to satisfy the masses? Neither of us are proud of hurting somebody. Update 4. My husband and I, who divorced after 10 years of marriage but rekindled our relationship after a one-night cuddle session, are navigating the chaos of having a baby together while technically still divorced. We have 3 kids, ages 10, 8, and 5, and now we have our newborn daughter, who was born in late May. Things have been complicated, to say the least. We've continued living separately, despite my ex-husband's numerous attempts to move back in. I've resisted because, honestly, the current arrangement seems to work best for everyone involved. The kids are happy, and I'm able to maintain a sense of independence that I didn't have before. Our family and friends are fully aware of our unconventional situation now. We've stopped hiding our relationship from everyone, including our kids. It took a while for them to understand, but they've adjusted better than I expected. Our oldest was initially grossed out, but is now excited about her new baby sister. Our kids have been seeing a therapist since we filed for divorce, which has helped a lot with the transition. In the midst of all this, we've been attending couples counseling. This time, it's actually working. We're both invested in it, and it's helping us address the issues that led to our divorce. However, I'm still cautious about fully committing to living together again. I refuse to put my kids through another divorce and the instability that comes with it. So, for now, we're maintaining separate households and co-parenting our new baby as best we can. And then there's the ex-girlfriend situation. My husband had a girlfriend when we slept together, which led to our new baby. People have had strong opinions about this, and I get it. Cheating is wrong, and it caused a lot of hurt. We're not proud of what we did, and we've had to face the consequences of our actions. My husband has since broken up with his girlfriend, and we're trying to move forward. Our relationship isn't traditional, and it doesn't fit into any neat box. I know some people think we're setting ourselves up for failure, but right now, this works for us. We're focusing on our kids and making sure they feel loved and secure. Update 5. Hey Reddit, it's been a few months since my last update. Buckle up, because things have taken another turn. First off, our baby girl is now 6 months old and she's thriving. She's the happiest little baby, and her siblings absolutely adore her. We've all settled into a rhythm that's as normal as things can be for us. My ex-husband, let's just call him H from now on, has continued to push the idea of moving back in together. Every time we discuss it, I feel a mix of emotions. On one hand, I miss the stability of having a partner at home. On the other, I can't shake the fear of repeating past mistakes. Our therapist has been great at helping us navigate these discussions, but it's clear that H is getting frustrated with our current arrangement. So, here's the latest twist. I recently got a job offer in a different city. It's a significant career move for me, something I've been working towards for years. The only problem? It's a couple of hours away from where we currently live. When I first brought this up to H, he was surprisingly supportive. He knows how much this job means to me. But then reality hit us both. What does this mean for our kids? For our unconventional setup? For the potential of us getting back together? After many discussions, we've tentatively agreed to try something new. I'll take the job, and H will stay in our current city with the kids. We'll switch up our custody arrangement to give him more time during the weekdays, and I'll have the kids on weekends. I'll commute back on Fridays and return to the city on Sundays. It's not ideal, but it's a compromise that allows me to pursue my career while still being present in our kids' lives. This decision hasn't been easy. It feels like we're taking a step back just as we were making progress in our relationship. But H has been amazing, even though I can tell he's struggling with the idea. We've talked about the possibility of him and the kids moving to the new city eventually, but we're not there yet. The kids are, predictably, a mix of emotions. They're excited for me but nervous about the changes. We've had a lot of family meetings to talk about what this will look like and to reassure them that we'll make it work. Our therapist has been a godsend during these times, helping us all adjust to the idea. I know some people will think I'm crazy for taking this job and complicating things further. Maybe they're right, but this is a chance I can't pass up. I want to show my kids that it's possible to pursue your dreams. Update 6. I officially started my new job a couple of months ago, and let me tell you, the commute has been brutal. Every Friday, I drive back home to spend the weekend with the kids, and by Sunday night, I'm back on the road to the city. It's exhausting, but I'm determined to make it work. Surprisingly, the kids have adjusted pretty well. They're used to the back and forth between houses, so adding my commute into the mix wasn't as disruptive as I feared. H has stepped up in a big way, taking on more responsibility during the week. I'm so grateful for his support, even though I know it's been tough on him. Speaking of H, things have been complicated. The distance has given us both a lot of time to think. We've continued our couples counseling sessions via video calls, which has been helpful but also challenging. There's something about being physically apart that makes it harder to work through our issues. One night, after a particularly rough week at work, I called H in tears. I missed the kids, I missed him, and I was overwhelmed. He drove to the city that night, showing up at my apartment at midnight. We talked for hours, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like we were truly on the same page. It was a turning point for us. Since then, we've started talking more seriously about the future. H has been looking into job opportunities in the city, and we're exploring neighborhoods that would be good for the kids. It's still early days, but the idea of all of us moving to the city together is becoming more of a possibility. But, as always, nothing is straightforward. H recently got a promotion at his current job, which complicates things. He loves his work, and the promotion is something he's been working towards for years. It feels like we're both being pulled in different directions by our careers. Our couples counselor has been a great help, encouraging us to communicate openly about our fears and hopes. We've had some tough conversations, but I think they're bringing us closer. We're both scared of making the wrong decision, but we're committed to figuring it out together. As for our baby girl, she's growing so fast. She started to crawl and is babbling constantly. It's been hard missing out on some of her milestones during the week, but H makes sure to send me videos and photos every day. The weekends with her and the kids are chaotic, but filled with so much love.